World War II was the most expensive conflict in human history. The United States spent over $4 trillion to build the arsenal of democracy. We built the atomic bomb. We built the P-51 Mustang. We built the Iowa-class battleships with radar-guided fire control computers. It was a war of high technology and massive industrial output. But on a dark night, in April 1943, in the treacherous waters of the Solomon Islands, the crew of the destroyer USS O'Bannon found themselves in a situation that technology couldn't solve. They were face to face with a Japanese submarine. They were too close to fire their main guns. They had no small arms on the bridge. The enemy was running to their deck gun to blow the Americans out of the water. The sailors of the O'Bannon didn't have grenades. They didn't have Tommy guns. So they grabbed the only projectile they had on hand. They grabbed potatoes, and they fought a life-or-death battle against the Imperial Japanese Navy using root vegetables. Hi, I'm Ray. History books love to talk about strategies and generals, but sometimes survival comes down to what you have in your pockets. This is the story of the Lucky O'Bannon, the ship that supposedly sank a submarine with a spud. Is it a myth? Is it a sailor's tall tale? Or is it the weirdest example of American ingenuity in the entire war? To understand the potato incident, you first have to respect the ship involved. The USS O'Bannon DD-450 wasn't just any ship. She was a Fletcher-class destroyer, the workhorse of the Pacific Fleet. Fast, heavily armed, and agile, but the O'Bannon was special. She was known as the Lucky O by the end of the war. The O'Bannon would earn 17 battle stars. That makes her the most decorated destroyer of World War II. She fought from Guadalcanal to Tokyo. She was in the middle of the fiercest surface battles in history. And here is the statistic that defies logic. She never lost a single sailor to enemy fire. Think about that. Through typhoons, kamikaze attacks, battleship duels, and submarine ambushes, not one man on the O'Bannon earned a Purple Heart for being killed in action. The crew believed the ship was charmed. They believed they could get out of anything. And on the night of April 5th, 1943, that luck would be tested in the most ridiculous way possible. Life on a destroyer is cramped. You are living on top of machinery and explosives. One of the most important places on the ship is the galley. And in 1943, fresh food was a luxury. The O'Bannon had recently They had crates of fresh vegetables stored wherever they could fit them. Crucially, there were storage bins on the deck superstructure near the bridge. These bins were full of heavy, brown Maine potatoes. Remember that detail? It's important. Spring, 1943. The battle for Guadalcanal is officially over, but the naval war in the Solomons is still raging. The waters between the islands were known as the Slot. It was a graveyard for ships. So many vessels had been sunk there that the charts called it Ironbottom Sound. The Japanese Navy used the Slot to run supplies to their garrisons at night. They used swift destroyers and, increasingly, huge submarines. These submarines, the WWII classes, were monsters. They were heavily armed, often carrying deck guns that could rip a destroyer apart if they got a lucky shot. The O'Bannon's job was to patrol the Slot at night. Night combat is terrifying. You can't see anything. You rely on radar, shadows, and instinct. On the night of April 5th, the O'Bannon was patrolling alone. The captain was Commander Donald MacDonald, a skilled, aggressive officer who had already proven himself in the naval battle of Guadalcanal. At 2 a.m., the radar operator called out a contact. Surface contact. Range 7,000 yards. It was a Japanese submarine cruising on the surface to recharge its batteries. MacDonald ordered the ship to general quarters. The alarm klaxons screamed. Men scrambled out of their bunks, putting on helmets and life vests. MacDonald had a plan. He would close the distance at high speed and ram the submarine. Ramming was a standard tactic against subs. A destroyer is made of steel. A sub is fragile. If you hit it, you slice it in half. The O'Bannon accelerated to 25 knots. The bow cut through the black water. The Japanese sub, identified later as the Ro-34, had no idea the Americans were coming. The distance closed. 5,000 yards. 2,000 yards. 1,000 yards. The O'Bannon was thundering down on the unaware sub, but at the very last second, mere moments before impact, Commander MacDonald made a split-second decision. He ordered, "Hard rudder left! Do not ram!" Why? Because at the last moment, MacDonald thought he saw something. He thought the submarine might be if he rammed a mine layer, the collision could detonate the mine strapped to the sub's deck. The explosion would destroy the O'Bannon too. The O'Bannon swerved violently. Instead of hitting the sub, the destroyer slid alongside it. They were now parallel. And they were close. Uncomfortably close. We are talking about 10 to 15 yards. You could practically jump from one deck to the other. This created a massive tactical problem. The O'Bannon's main weapons were 5-inch guns. These are huge cannons. They cannot aim down. At this extremely short range, the guns were depressed as low as they could go, but they were shooting over the submarine. The O'Bannon was too powerful for its own good. Meanwhile, on the Japanese Sub-34, chaos broke out. The Japanese sailors were sleeping on deck or working. Suddenly, a mountain of American steel appeared next to them. They woke up. They realized the Americans couldn't shoot them with the big guns, but the sub had a weapon, a 3-inch deck gun mounted on the hull. If the Japanese sailors could man that gun, they could fire point-blank into the O'Bannon's bridge, killing the captain and destroying the steering. It was a race. The Japanese sailors scrambled toward their deck gun. On the bridge of the O'Bannon, the American officers looked for weapons to shoot the Japanese sailors. They had nothing. No Tommy guns. No pistols. They were defenseless against the boarding party. This is the moment where history gets weird. You are on a multi-million-dollar warship, but you can't shoot the enemy standing 10 meters away because your guns are too big. It's a nightmare scenario. If you love stories of quick thinking and improvisation, please like this video and subscribe to G.I.Stories. Now, let's see how they solved this problem with the vegetable locker. Chapter 4. The Potato Barrage. The Japanese were running toward their gun. The Americans needed to stop them. A lookout on the wing of the bridge looked down. There were the storage bins, full of Maine potatoes. He didn't think, he acted. He grabbed a potato and hurled it at the Japanese sailors. Other sailors saw him and joined in. Suddenly, a rain of brown oval objects started falling on the deck of the WWII. Put yourself in the shoes of the Japanese sailors. It's dark. You are panicked. The Americans are throwing round heavy objects at you. What do you think those objects are? Potatoes? No. Hand grenades. The Japanese sailors panicked. Instead of manning the deck gun, they started diving for cover. Some of them picked up the potatoes and threw them overboard, thinking they were tossing live grenades away before they exploded. They were running around the deck, terrified, waiting for the boom that never came. One American sailor reportedly shouted, "We're sinking them with spuds." For those crucial 30 or 60 seconds, the frantic barrage of vegetables kept the Japanese crew busy. They never reached their deck gun. The bridge of the O'Bannon was safe. Chapter 5. The kill the potato distraction bought Commander MacDonald just enough time. He ordered the engines to full astern, then full ahead. He maneuvered the ship away from the sub to open up the distance. As soon as the range opened to 100 yards, the O'Bannon's guns could finally aim. But they didn't just use guns. The sub began to submerge, trying to escape the crazy potato-throwing Americans. As the WWII slipped beneath the waves, the O'Bannon passed over it and dropped a pattern of depth charges. Boom, boom, boom. The shock waves crushed the submarine's hull. Oil and debris rose to the surface. The WWII was destroyed. All 66 hands on board were lost. The O'Bannon had won. Chapter 6. Fact versus legend. When the O'Bannon returned to port, the story leaked. The press went wild. It was the perfect morale-boosting story. American boys use backyard vegetables to defeat the enemy. It was funny. It was patriotic. But is it true? Years later, Commander MacDonald gave an interview. He was a bit more reserved. He confirmed that they were too close to shoot. He confirmed that objects were thrown, but he claimed he didn't order a potato attack. He said, "I believe the story was embellished by the cook. However, other officers and crew members swore by it." Admiral William Halsey Bull. Halsey himself loved the story. In a telegram to the O'Bannon, he wrote, "You certainly have proved your ingenuity." The story became so famous that the Maine Potato Growers Association sent a commemorative plaque to the ship. The plaque was mounted in the crew's mess hall. It read, "To the crew of the USS O'Bannon, who showed the world that American potatoes are deadly weapons." The crew was proud of it. Even if it was exaggerated, it became part of the ship's soul. It fueled their belief that they were the lucky O. Chapter 7. The psychological warfare of vegetables, whether they threw 50 potatoes or 5. The effect was real. In the confusion of war, perception is reality. The Japanese sailors didn't smell the potatoes. They saw a silhouette of a grenade. They felt the weight of a grenade, and their brains told them, grenade. It highlights the chaos of close-quarters combat. When technology fails, when the radar is blind, when the guns can't aim, you revert to the Stone Age. You throw rocks, or in this case, tubers. It saved American lives. If the Japanese had fired that deck gun, the O'Bannon's bridge crew would have been wiped out. The lucky O might have lost its luck that night. Conclusion: the USS O'Bannon survived the war. She went on to fight in the Korean War and even Vietnam. She was finally scrapped in 1970. But her legend lives on. She is remembered as the ship that never lost a man, the ship that wouldn't die. In the annals of military history, we list weapons like the M1 Garand, the Sherman tank, and the Beta-9. But maybe, just maybe, we should add the russet potato to that list. Low cost, biodegradable, and surprisingly effective against submarines. So, what do you think? Was it a tall tale made up by bored sailors? Or did quick thinking really save the ship? I choose to believe the legend. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this slice of weird history, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. G.I.Stories is digging up the strangest files from the archives every single day. This is Ray. Peel. M if you got M.